Hello everyone, welcome back to Joellen's Kitchen. Today we're going to make a pumpkin roll. It's a Pennsylvania Dutch and I'm sure other nationalities have tried it too. It's the holidays, so we're doing it upright and wearing a little bit of gold. I don't know, it just reminds me of the Golden Star of Bethlehem, I guess. But this pumpkin roll that we're going to make is going to be a lot of fun. And what you have to remember is to get everything at room temperature. So you want your butter, your cream cheese, whatever, at room temperature to start. But we're going to start with a cookie sheet that has deep sides. And we're going to spray Pam on it just so I don't forget, so that we don't have everything sticking when we bake it. And we're just going to set that aside and it will wait for us a little bit while we prepare the ingredients. What we're going to start with, of course, is the pumpkin. We're going to have 2/3 of a cup of pumpkin puree. So let's get that in there. We also need 3 large eggs. I can actually use this to catch my eggs in case there's any shells that get in. Well, that one came out good. Two came out good. And number 3. Okay, put the eggs aside, or the shells rather, and we'll put the eggs into our pumpkin. We also need 2/3 of a cup of sugar. I've pre-measured that just to make things go a little slicker for you, or faster, as you may say. And then, of course, we're going to mix this. I don't care if you do it by hand or if you want to do it with a whisk or a mixer. It's not a hard mix, so anything will do. Okay, have a nice mixture of pumpkin and eggs and sugar. And to that, another 2/3, this time a cup of flour. We'll get that in there. And ironically, this one takes both baking soda and baking powder. So we're going to start with 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. And then we need a full teaspoon of baking soda. We need 1/2 teaspoon of salt. We need a full teaspoon of cinnamon. And then we're going to also add cloves. I am going to put a 1/2 teaspoon of cloves in here. I had a pumpkin roll down to Current Technology Center and they had extra cloves in it, and I thought, oh my goodness, I love it. If you don't like cloves, you can do a 1/4 teaspoon, but I'm doing a 1/2 teaspoon of cloves. I'm also going to put in a 1/2 teaspoon of ginger. And let's go all out and do, I think, a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Okay, that should do it. Now let's mix this up really good. And again, it's just a small amount and it's a very light, fluffy mixture. So I don't know that you have to dig out the mixer, the electric mixer, but either a spatula or a whisk would do fine. Okay, looks pretty good. So what we're going to do is move all of our ingredients out of the way. We're going to get our pan. Okay, we're going to take a piece of wax paper and put that into our pan and make sure it's down in there and the creases real good. Okay, and then we're going to put some more ham on top. Get it across as much of the bottom as you can. Even if you make a little mess, it'll clean up. There we go. Oh yeah, that looks good. Now we're going to put our pumpkin puree mixture into the baking sheet. And we're going to spread it out evenly in there, if we can. We want to bake this in our oven at 350 degrees for 15 minutes. In case it's your first time, I always like to review for the old-timers, so to speak, but anybody new, the only stove I have is this gas stove. It's an antique, it's a Windcroft, and I have to turn the gas on. Open the bottom door, get my flame, turn on the gas at the oven, and voila! I do not have a thermostat, so everything is by eye, and the flame has to be blue versus yellow. A bluer flame is hotter. So it's a matter of finding that right balance. In goes my pumpkin roll. You don't want it to cook too long or it won't roll. You don't want to undercook it or it won't be springy and flexible and come out in one piece basically. So at this time, I think what we will do is work on our filling. And then, of course, when it's done baking, and we'll have to cool it down. So we'll have a little pause, and then we'll come back and we'll spread the filling, but we'll show you what all gets done before that. I have softened 6 tablespoons of butter, and you need 8 ounces of cream cheese. And if there's a brand on sale, you can get the brand on sale. Or if you like to do the brand names, that's fine, whatever your pleasure. But the key is to have it softened so it mixes really easily. We We also want to add a teaspoon of vanilla. And mix this up a bit. Okay, we're going to fold in our powdered sugar. And by the way, don't put that powdered sugar away because we're going to sprinkle it on the mat when we take out the actual pumpkin, which has 5 more minutes to go, by the way. And then we will flip it out on a smooth, either a real thin tea towel, if you will, but nothing with the loops so it doesn't stick into the pumpkin. Or you can use a silicone pad, which is what I have, but we're going to sprinkle that with powdered sugar as well. And this actually, the more you mix it, the fluffier it gets, and I think the better it tastes. I think it's because it gets air in it. I'm not a home economist by any means. I'm a Pennsylvania Dutch cook, but it seems to me it gets lighter and fluffier the more you mix it. So you can mix it now, and then when the cake or the pumpkin roll is cooled, we can also mix it again. It's not going to hurt it one bit. Okay, I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to get out reach for my silicone pad here and put this down. And as I said, we're going to sprinkle this with the powdered sugar. Going to spread it out to the corners. Make sure everything is covered lightly with a dust of powdered sugar. And this should help to keep the pumpkin from sticking, because we have to roll the pumpkin right with the silicone to give it its curve as it's cooling. I make a mess, but it's fun to make a mess too, isn't it? I feel like a kid again. Okay, and the rest of that we'll just sprinkle all over. Okay, it looks like we've got our pumpkin roll done, at least the outer part. So we want to make sure our edges did not stick to the wax paper. Okay, I think we got it. Now here comes the trick, is to flip it over onto the silicone or the towel, really quick like. Ta-da! Especially if you're using a towel, you want to do this method, and that is to roll the cake, and I usually put something there to prop it so it doesn't unroll while it cools. Okay, we're going to unroll our pumpkin, and of course peel away our wax paper. And if you want to mix up that filling one more time, make sure it's really mixed up good and a little bit fluffy. Okay, and then we're going to put it onto our cake. And hopefully you baked it just right and it doesn't crack all the way across. A couple small cracks won't matter. Okay, then of course we want to spread this all over. We want to spread it all over the cake. Okay, now it's a matter of rolling it up as tightly as we can without squeezing it out the ends. And again, keeping the edges equal. Okay, there we go. And what we need is a piece of saran wrap because we're going to wrap this up and refrigerate it for 1 to 2 hours. And get it good and cold. I think what I'm going to do is incorporate the edge of the well, this is so big, I need a little piece on the other end. There we go. Okay, let's refrigerate it and we'll be back to try it out in an hour or two. Okay, just pulled it out of the refrigerator and it is time to try our pumpkin roll. Now you can cut the whole thing and slice it for people and serve it, or you can maybe cut it in half and freeze half and just eat some now. But you want a nice sharp knife and then gently cut down through, maybe about 1/2 inch or so in width. Here's what it looks like. It's really not that hard to make, actually. Let's give it a try. Pretty good. It's not too sweet, it's just right.